she asked me at one point if I'd be willing to produce her first album. I didn't have the experience to know that you can't have the piano, a grand piano, in the same room as the drum set and expect to have a clean piano sound.
Were you able to salvage that some kind of way? Or?
You know, at the time, no.
I think Jon and I kind of like go over the notes about, you know, what are we going to talk about for, you know, for the guests. And I think in my text message I said, man, I've been checking Louis out for years. I said, man, you know, it's very remarkable talent.
Man.
Oh, man.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
And I think I said,
So then he comes back,
what did I say?
generational talent.
Generational. Once in a lifetime. Some people wait a lifetime for a talent like this. Kenyatta, you don't know this. Cato knows it. I met Cato, and early on in knowing him, I bestowed upon him the nickname Superman.
Oh, right.
Because
right.
I don't know a lot of people that can do all of the things that this man does at the level that he does them at, but also with the amount of heart and generosity that is also behind it.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky to have Superman here today in the building.
Hey, man, so Superman.
I'm lucky to be here. Grateful to be here.
Welcome.
Yes.
Grateful to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yes.
I mean, it's like he said, generational talent. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
okay. You know, so you could.
I mean, listen, to our listeners that are listening that know Louis Cato, some of you know him as the band leader on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Some of you may know him as producer to the stars, musician to the stars. The amount of things that you have done in your career for it being so early is truly amazing. But I want to start where it starts, where some people think that Superman is from Krypton, but I happen to know that Superman is from a small town in North Carolina called Albemarle.
Stanley County.
Talk to me about Stanley County, bro. Talk to me about Albemarle. I mean, I met you here in New York, like, and that is so far away from here, like.
Oh yeah. I mean, my first foray into city living was Boston, actually, because I went from right out of high school. I went to Berkeley School of Music in Boston, and man, Stanley County is a small little sect in the Piedmont area of North Carolina. Albemarle is a town that's big enough to have a city hall and small enough to where everyone knows everyone. You know what I mean? You don't walk down the street and, well, first of all, you don't walk down the street because you drive everywhere. But you don't walk into any store or anything or gas station without everyone knowing who everyone else is. And if not, it's like, oh, he's a Honeycutt. That's probably the neighbor's son.
Right,
whatever.
right.
But I mean, I was definitely moving to Boston was like my first city anything. Just I always think about how wild it is now thinking back, like feeling like a New Yorker now and remembering seeing my first taxi cab. Wow. Like I'd only seen them in movies, and wait, they'll actually pick you up, which like just off the street, which on one hand was like, yeah, and on the other hand, not in Boston at that time yet.
Wow.
Looking like me,
Right.
So I had to instantly had a lot to catch up on, even just like the pace of walking down the sidewalk. I felt like I was that kid that was just like, as walked down, people were just like, like brushing toward bumping me because I'm walking like at what feels like a normal pace to me, and everyone's just zooming by. The pace of the city was like, but yeah, I did Boston for 5 years, and then I moved here in 2008, largely because in my studio work at the time, I just ended up doing a lot of sessions here, and every time I'd come to New York, I could go out. I found that I could go out any night of the week, and be inspired. Um, and that was just what I was intuitively needing at the time, was inspiration. Like, what's the next? I was just really hungry to learn, and I felt like the people that I was in the circles I was learning from in Boston sort of reached a bit of what felt like a ceiling to me. And New York continues to be that. You could still go out. I mean, there's a lot less places to hear live music now, I think, than there were.
Yeah, as the city has become more expensive.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, straight up.
You can just feel, and we get back to Boston, but you can just feel like artists need somewhere where it's affordable for them to live in order for them to actually deal with their art.
Yes.
That I can play my gigs and still pay my bills and
Yes.
still do my creative stuff,
Yes.
rather than I have to, oh my gosh, this rent is $5,000 for this
Right.
studio apartment.
Yeah.
So once you once you make it unaffordable, you just have the feeling like the artists have a tendency of going somewhere else, and then
out of necessity.
and there are fewer places to play.
Right.
But I mean, I'm assuming from all the people who I know went to Boston, I mean that had to hit you for you. That probably hit, you probably hit that ceiling kind of fast.
I mean,
'Cause everybody leaves. I mean, people
It's
go to study
right.
and then they're like, yeah, I'll hang out because
Right.
you kind of get the security of being there.
Right.
And then you're like, everybody has a tendency to go to LA or LA
Totally.
or New York.
but I mean, I mean, that is absolutely true in my experience. But also, I don't want to discount the community that I made there.
Yeah,
Right.
Because
of course.
the people that I met then are some of my closest friends to this day, and we've been through just some of everything together. And you do find them, like, when you go all over the world, like, I did a record in Portugal with a conglomerate that we put together called Mirrors in 2020. And there's people over there that, like, I'm, in Lisbon and Porto Alegre that I met at Berkeley, and like, you find networks in Japan and, like you said, LA and Nashville. People that you've got to really spend time with and make music with, and it just I feel really, really grateful for that. That feels like a formative part of my ongoing story.
Getting to Boston, getting to Berkeley, and we all know there are a ton of people who kind of hone their talents there, develop their skills there. What was it like, getting to Berkeley as somebody who was dealing with music from a very young age through the context of, your town? I know that you, like me, kind of grew up playing at church.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem like it, when you can speak to this, it doesn't feel like it was ever just music was like one thing with you. It was always like, I do this thing and all of these things, all these instruments are just a part of it. What was it kind of going from this small town and exploring that at church to, like, hanging out with a bunch of musicians that wanted to make a career in a more formal setting?
I mean, well, initially it was really humbling. I think the metaphor of big fish in a little pond comes to mind in terms of where I was coming from, being sort of like I didn't really have a community of musicians. My community of musicians when I grew up was like my mom. I grew up playing with my mom in church. She played piano and keyboards and sometimes the Christian rock band over at the other church.
Yeah. Right. Both sides.
Yeah, but coming into a place like Berkeley where there was a real community, suddenly I wasn't like, the music kid. He's a little nerdy, but he's like the music guy.
Right.
Like, I just came into a whole community of music guys and girls, and they all knew infinitely more music
Right.
than I did, and most of them had training, knew all kinds of different music theory and harmonic approaches, and we're exposed to a lot of different styles and genres that I just didn't grow up with and hadn't heard before, So it was really humbling. And I sort of initially went into this space where I felt like, oh man, I have so much to learn, and also everyone is so good, so like I don't. Maybe I'm not maybe I'm not actually a multi-instrumentalist. Maybe I'm definitely not a singer, and maybe I shouldn't be playing a bunch of instruments. I'm gonna hone my. Let me just focus on one instrument, and maybe that'll give me the best chance of being able to do this for a living. And so I sort of stopped or tried to focus my energies on just like learning all the music that I could and practicing drums as much as humanly possible. But I mean, as fate would have it, people kept calling me for a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And one of those ways I ended up making money was session guys, producers, and engineers figured that here's this like 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid that we can just pay him like not a lot of money to do like 5 parts as opposed to paying 5 people a respectable amount of money.
Right.
And I ain't know no better.
Wait, can I go backwards for a second?
Yeah.
I mean, so there's a lot of people that I grew up with, played in church, who just found themselves just gravitating toward every instrument.
Yes.
They just found themselves, hey, maybe the drummer's not here today.
Yep.
Right.
And I play drums. Maybe
That's
the
right.
bass player's like,
Yep.
is that how you kind of started gravitating toward everything? Was it just, or you just picked up started on drums first?
Not really, because a lot of, like the churches that I grew up in were the musicians were me and my mother. So I was singing and drumming, and my mom was playing keyboards. So there weren't like other instruments laying around in the church per se. But I came to, drums I think just came out of the womb. My mom says I was beating up the pots and pans, and for my 2nd birthday she bought me a drum set, and as the story goes, but not to my memory, but I played every day, and I think that's just was in me. And she also had my sister and I singing. I have a really formative part of my childhood is before my memory goes back even of just my sister and my mother and I just singing 3-part harmony in life, in the van on the road trips, driving to go see my grandma in Kansas and Omaha, and like,
That's it.
Through Christ I can do all things.
You remember that?
Yeah, it's in there. You know what I mean?
There.
But as far as like the other instruments, I think when I was 8, my dad had brought home this yard sale acoustic guitar that was missing a couple strings, but I just found it intriguing, and I was always messing around on it. And then there was a VHS video that my mom had brought home of Ron Canoli.
Ron Canoli.
And you remember Ron Canoli?
Yes, I mean.
And he's like the gospel influenced worship leader. Anyways, Hosanna Music had all the top session cats in the live production, and Abraham Laborio Sr. was the bass player. And man, I remember very clearly, like, whatever he's doing, like, for this whole huge band of like probably a 100-person choir and like a 12-piece band with full horn section and Alex Acuna on percussion and 2 drummers and like keyboardists and flute players, and the way he's like holding everything together, but like with the biggest smile on his face and dancing and like just I was like, I want to do that. And so I started figuring out his bass lines on my little yard sale guitar. But while also like finding melodies and stuff in there too. And for my 9th birthday, I finally convinced my dad to buy me a 4-string electric Ibanez bass.
Wow.
So then bass and guitar kind of were just sort of like parallel there. And then when I got to 6th grade, that was when band started in 7th grade. So coming into 7th grade year, I don't know why I wanted to play tuba, but it was just maybe as a function of like my bass player identity. But as fate would have it, North Stanley High School, which is in Stanley County, it was like split up: North Stanley, East Stanley, West Stanley, and Albemarle was a city school. They only had one working tuba, and so they were like, "Well, you can play trombone up until he's graduating, and then you can move up to tuba." So I started playing trombone in 7th grade, and I really kind of took a liking to that.
Wow.
And, like,
Killing trombone player. I know you don't know. People don't know. Amazing trombone player and tuba player. This is from a tuba player. Louis Cato is a ridiculous tuba player.
Oh, dude, that means a lot
Ridiculous tuba
coming
player.
from you.
People don't
man.
know, man. People don't know.
I do. I've always marveled at people who play more than one thing well. 'Cause I mean, I was growing up in New Orleans, and I would see Nicholas Payton just play a tenor saxophone.
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit!
Yeah.
You see him play a bass, then you see some other kids who can do that kind of stuff, and you're like, wait a second. And I felt like I was lacking in so many areas, but these cats are like killing this. Like,
Wow.
and I've always been,
And it's just a part of the culture down there. Like,
yeah, but I mean, you just kind of like naturally gravitate to what's in front of you. Man, your parents give you the guitar. Oh, you know what? Let me figure this up on bass.
Right.
I want to play tuba.
Right.
There's a trombone.
Right.
I'm like, man, I don't, because there's a part of my brain that would just say, hey, you know what? Playing trumpet is difficult enough.
Right.
Yes.
I've marveled at people who that knack who can just figure different stuff out.
Right. Well, that's. I've always been amazed by this too, because
On a high level.
On a high level.
On a high level. Not just like I'm playing some hack.
Right.
Like some
High level.
Right.
And the way that you're describing coming into it, it's like you're like, oh well, I started figuring out these bass lines on guitar, and then I got a bass, and then I started playing trombone. Like you're able to just kind of pick up and learn all of these things. It doesn't feel like it's all necessarily like separate.
to that point, I'm with all the instruments, I'm inherently learning music.
Yes.
That's sort of like, to me, is the through line is like there are things that sounds that come from without and within, and the relationship with the entity of music is sort of the through line that informs my building of the relationship with the instrument.
Not only are you this incredible multi-instrumentalist who is also singing, but then you start to hone in on the actual producer chops.
Yeah.
Not only let me play this, let me sing this, but then let me be able to manipulate this as well. Did that start in Boston? And then maybe talk about how, you moved to New York and start to flex that muscle a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like what was the thing that made you want to figure out, okay, I know that I can sound good. How do I like make stuff sound good behind the scenes as well?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a part of my brain that I think there's two pieces of my identity that I honestly, I don't know if they would have come out if people hadn't asked and pointed them out. There's a sort of gospel jazz singer named Tabrisa Woodside, another New York native, and I met her when I moved to Boston because she was the worship leader at the church that I was first playing at for the first like year that I was there, she recognized that there's this part of my identity that like that has an understanding of how to get from point A to point B musically, like because a lot of my background being like a rhythm section player and like having, you know, a still young and developing sense of how, you know, what makes a rhythmic foundation and how that translates to a recording. But I think it was more than she had as a singer, and she's just like an incredible singer. Essentially, she asked me at one point if I'd be willing to produce her first album, and I was probably in over my head, but it didn't sound like it felt I felt unprepared but not unequipped.
Right.
And so I said yeah, and I took on the challenge and I was like, well, how hard can it be? We're just gonna take the things that I'm learning about in like live studio and all these things that I nerd out about with groove and foundation and how a bass line defines harmony and rhythm and how you know, drums can support that and like how they all support a melody and what makes a song translate. We'll just do it in a studio, and it turns out it's a whole other world. So it was a bit of a crash course. It's sort of a sad story. I won't go too deep into it, but let's just say that she was friends with Cyrus Chestnut, and she got Cyrus Chestnut to fly in from Baltimore to Boston to play on 2 songs on the record. And is before AI and Isotope D-Bleed.
Before D-Bleed?
You know what I mean? And I didn't have the experience to know that you can't have the piano, a grand piano, in the same room as the drum set and expect to have a clean piano sound. So it was almost unusable. There was so much drum bleed in the piano mics, and you know, I'm going through the session files, and initially I was like, I was angry at the engineer, like, why didn't you tell me? And then it's like, wait a second, well, that's also part of the job of a producer, to like know enough of the language of engineering,
right,
to account for these things.
Well, what a way to learn.
Yeah, so I learned.
I mean,
the hard way.
I learned. I mean, so I mean, with a lot of recordings, everything's done in one room anyway.
Yes.
Maybe did it work out in the end? Because you know, or were you know, I think the thing about modern records is that I can almost feel the isolation between all the instruments.
There is a line to it. Yes.
And you could feel it because I think that when I put you in a different room, it really does cut off a certain kind of connection.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you can kind of hear it when, you know, even though, hey, you know, what's supposed to get like, you know, the microphones are all isolated and all, that's great. But you go back and hear like I don't know, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers record, and they're all in the same room. Somehow Rudy Van Gelder figures out a way to kind of get that sound. That takes me back to, you know, were you able to salvage that some kind of way? Or?
You know, at the time, no.
Right.
But now, I've recently had conversations because the technology has come to a place where, I mean, what you're talking about is like, the reason like Rudy Van Gelder and those guys were able to get those sounds is because
they do a room. It's a room.
Yeah, they knew how, they understood, they had enough of an understanding of the engineering side and the process of capturing to be able to say, okay, well, the loudest instrument we're going to put the farthest from the one microphone, and the softest instrument we're going to put the closest to the microphone, and then we're gonna use a little bit of tape to see how that translates and how it's hitting before we burn all the tape, and then we're gonna move and adjust Jimmy Garrison's position to like put him even closer, and so we get it right, and then we'll allow for the magic to start being. You know what I mean?
It's like understanding the technology of the time,
Yes.
and being able to manipulate that.
Yes.
That's kind of the thing. Because now it's like you can make anything sound like, you know, people are playing in the room, but you can't make anything feel like you're playing in the same room. I feel like that's kind of what you're talking about.
So to that point, I think that brought up some interesting realities of recordings as well.
So what happened? Now I'm curious. With all that being said, you know,
I still got the files. If time and budget allows, I think that record will eventually see the light of day, and it is incredible. As Warren Wolf is playing piano on the rest of it.
He's another dude. He's
he's my multi-instrumentalist brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Man.
But like Charles Haynes is on drums.
Wow.
It's an incredible record.
He's from Boston. Yeah, he's from Boston.
Yes. Well, he's from East St. Louis, Missouri, but he's a Boston staple. He's been in Boston for a long time, since before I got there.
Right, because I see him playing with Keon. That's what they. They got that connection. Probably.
Yeah.
Man, so, and this is kind of, you know, for both of you, because I know that both of you are artists and producers. And I feel like those two things work together, but they are like separate brains. And it's so like, so you start kind of learning about production through experience here. And then, you know, you have worked, it's a long list of people that you've gotten to work in a production capacity for, you know, like artists like Q-Tip, you know, various genres as well, which is really cool.
Yes.
What, and Kenyatta, I'm like asking this of you as well. How do you approach, like, this is artist me, this is producer me? Do they work together? Do they butt heads? Are they different brains? Are they like, is it a half and half thing? Because this is something I feel like I'm starting to figure out, and I'm really curious to talk about people who have a lot of experience with it.
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm curious. I
want to hear you first. I mean, look, you can hear my voice in a lot of these episodes. I'm after you.
I love that.
No, I mean, because I'm curious to hear. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, Louis Cato, how do you how do you do it? Please.
Oh man,
caring is sharing.
Caring is sharing. Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah, man.
They're interchangeable. I mean, I'll say that when I started, I think for me it starts more fragmented. When you're younger, just getting into it, any part of any role in a creative space, there's a certain your lack of life experience sort of informs you to or puts you in a box a bit, you know. It's like, oh, well, I'm doing the producer thing. Well, I've got to honor that as its own thing, and I've got to put everything else down and just be that. And like, I'm gonna turn off this part of my brain and show up as like the guy that like holds all the things together and like has a deep understanding of the whole thing, and I'm not gonna think about my thoughts and opinions about individual elements. And you know what I mean? You've got to like, there's a lot of boxes that are in compartments that you're trying to, if you have respect for the role, you know. And I think similar as an artist, if you're coming in like, and similar as a sideman. If I'm coming in as a sideman, like I did a lot of work as a sideman for a lot of people across a lot of genres, and you kind of, or at least I sort of had this tunnel vision approach that is like, oh, I'm here to do this thing, I'm hired to do this thing, so to this person, this is what I am. In this situation, this is what I am. I'm not a multi-instrumentalist. I'm a bass player. Right. I'm not a producer. I am a guitarist. And I think that's important for a time. I also believe that the set it and forget it thing starts to happen as you get more life experience. You find that all those intangibles and all these other compartments, well, wait a second, it's all the same it's all me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And actually, why am I gonna cut myself off from my own connection to source in any way? I think it takes a little more emotional intelligence and nuance to allow your identity to just be as a person, and take all those impulses and thoughts and opinions that you have from either side of the identity and allow them to inform your intention for being in that situation. And that's sort of where I'm at now. Is like, if I'm producing a project or a song, I'm allowing more. I'm in the practice of allowing more of the whole of who I am and how I show up in the world to inform my production. Here we Space, time and space between the notes, beyond the shapes, flow, soft and slow, nowhere to go. Wait, listen with grace into the void, infinity's face. Not a care, nothing to know, nowhere to go. If we can hold, oh, this I know, within that space, love will unfold. Yeah, souls trying to break free, free from mind identity. Let it breathe. You don't have to know, nowhere to go. If we can hold, oh, this I know, within that space, love will unfold. Yeah, space, time and space between the notes beyond the shapes. Flow soft and slow, nowhere to go. There's always a balance to be struck between what you come into a situation with in terms of your story and what actually is. And the more story you're holding, the less room there is to actually be present and aware for what actually is. And in a studio, a recording environment, the best version of anything that's going to happen is going to be the best version of what's in the room. Like people, I forget who told me along the way that like have like one of the biggest parts of strength of a great producer is having the right people in the room in the first place.
That's what starts.
You know what I mean?
That's what
you
starts.
probably can speak to this. You know.
No, I mean, even the three of us in this room right now talking about this is like our thoughts and ideas. We just coming together, and we know the vibe that we're gonna get. I mean, I'm quite sure, man. By calling you in, I'm calling you in for your vibe and spirit, and we know what we're gonna get. So, man, usually when you're recording a session or doing a session, my experience is I started off in film and like writing jingles.
Wow.
So it really wasn't about me. It was about me trying to land a job and being able to kind of like, if somebody calls me to do country, some country stuff. All right, I got to figure out how can I land a job. All right, I need to go check out this country vibe and see if I can get to the essence of whatever this is. And that's, so a lot of my whole being is like, okay, if we're going to do this, can we get to the true essence of what this is? If it's samba, can we hit that? I mean, am I really checking out the correct Brazilian cats? I mean, I'm from New Orleans. I mean, like a lot of cats can't play that second line rhythm. You got to go and really study that and study that coach. So I'm finding, when I'm producing records, can I get to the essence of the culture that the music is actually coming from, and my job is just to serve the purpose that I'm producing for, the person I'm producing for.
Yes.
Of course they want some of that natural stuff that comes with you, but man, you're trying to, I think that's probably one of the most trickiest parts of producing somebody's record, or your own for that matter. I'm trying to produce something that works for that person's voice.
Yes. Yes.
With some creative input from myself, but I'm trying to make you sound better.
Right.
Yes.
My whole purpose is not really about me. I can use some throw some stuff out there, but I'm assuming when you you work with somebody, I want to make you sound better.
Yes.
And I want you to call me back again.
Yeah.
So I got to figure out the right studio to find. I got to find the right musicians. I got to see what your vibe is, listen to you. And that's probably one of the biggest things I found as I got older. I've just become like a better listener.
Yes. Yes.
Just to see, just to listen to what people are telling me about what their needs and wants, because you got to kind of build, and it's a whole kind of like balancing thing that's in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just part of the the production. But that's the part where, to your original question, and we were kind of talking about this before, juggling the business and the actual art.
Exactly.
Because I know I got a job to do, and the job is really not about me.
Right.
It's about you as the artist.
Exactly.
So there's a part of me that has to sacrifice part of my ego to get the job done.
100%.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I mean, that's what we were talking about, where it's kind of like, as musicians, as artists, it's like we inherently are creating, we are creative, we're channeling our experiences, but also we are needing to make a living. And so it's like
A word.
a word.
That's right.
And
in due season.
And it's what I find is like, there a new season.
Hey.
It's like you go through phases where like it's like business, where you're like, all right, I'm in sideman mode, or I'm in like session mode, and it's like I gotta stack because I've got life to pay for, responsibilities to pay for. And then there are seasons where it's like, okay, where maybe I have a little breathing space and I can focus more on the creative thing, and while obviously I want that to be lucrative, I don't necessarily have to worry about that. But I feel like what ends up happening is like it's just all, there's no separation. There's not this luxury to be like, all right, well, for these 3 months, I'm going to get into my creative bag.
No.
And then for these 4 months, I'm going to be in business mode. It just, the older you get, it all just happens on top of each other. And this is kind of a nice segue where it's like, I met you and we had both kind of signed on to the Late Show band, originally Stay Human with Jon Batiste. And this was kind of like a, I mean, for me at the time, a game-changing, you know, gig living in New York, trying to figure some stuff out. And it's like, oh, wait, this is something that is like stable and they want me to be here.
Yeah.
But then fast forward, you know, you get the call now to lead this band. We've been in this band for 10 years now. But it's like both of us during that time are also trying to do creative things. Like, how have you been able to do both, particularly now that you are the band leader, like leading this band, the responsibilities that come with that on a daily basis, while also, you know, putting out records, putting out singles, and like, how have you specifically been figuring out how to do that?
Well, I mean, I think initially it had to be a complete change of approach. It was clear to me immediately that, well, I'm going to have to keep a voice for 40 weeks a year, which means already out the gate, my approach up until that time of just burning the candle at both ends had to change, because like because that losing your voice like is not an option. Having like, you know, bags under your eyes and like missing cues and things are not an option. You know what I mean? On my best day, I'm gonna be fully rested. I'm still gonna be like on the tip of my toes every day. You know what I mean? So I knew that the approach had to change, and so for me personally, I sort of immediately stopped everything else outside of the show. It was like, I need every bit of energy. I think because initially it started, I was filling in for Batiste, and even just that first week or week and a half, it was of filling in. It shocked and honestly scared me how exhausted and depleted I was when I got home. As someone who's had burned the candle at both ends, you know, my whole career up until that point, I was no stranger to tired. I mean, all of us are, you know what I mean? Like, but this was like something different. It was like,
oh, your brain hurts.
My brain hurts.
Yeah.
My brain literally hurts.
Your brain hurts.
Like I would get home and like I felt like my skin had like
Oh man.
like a metal, like, you know those suits of armor, like that, like there's like the armor on the outside, but like on the sleeve it's just like metal, like mesh.
Yes.
That weighs like a ton.
Yeah.
It feels like my skin was that.
Wow.
And it was like,
Wow.
I'm hungry. I haven't eaten all day. What's the next food or
Right.
phone? What, like the decision fatigue was just like, I was done physically, emotionally, psychologically, and so I just like I stopped everything else. Everything else is a no for the first year. That was my plan.
Yeah.
I mean, writer's strike would change that.
Right.
In May of 2023, I came on officially in August, September of 2022.
Right.
But the plan was like, okay, 1 year, everything else has to stop. And, you know, that feels counterintuitive to being a lifetime freelancer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Saying no to income
Right.
and things that I could very well do, even easy things. It's just like, no,
Yeah.
because it was a different pie of percentages, and it's like I need 100%. I need to just 100% just to figure out what this is,
Yeah.
and survive it,
Yeah.
and then I'll start adding things back in later as I can. Does it make sense? You know, when I did start taking things back on, I found that there's an intentionality that comes with, like, I think, like when you take time off of anything, if you're, whether it be a dietary thing, like if you take a break from sugar for a week, or you go on a, I don't know, dairy-free diet, or for those that do dairy, like when you reintroduce something to your body, like there's a new heightened awareness and intentionality that sort of comes with that.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely shaped and transformed the way that I work and the way that I book my schedule, because I have that much more of a relationship with my personal finite energy pie.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm very much more intentional now than I was before doing this job.
Right.
But do you think that because you got your feet wet, you figured what the vibe out, you could read the room, that after a certain point, okay, I can kind of work. I know what the job entails. Now I can go and take one of these.
Yes, 100%.
And that could be, and
that
maybe,
could be in the form of, like, like if there's, like, say, like there's a gala offer that comes in, like, and it's like it's going to be like a 8 p.m. sort of thing. I know, and it's a weekday. I got like one good after late show thing in me a week.
Right.
For example, you know what I mean? This is like and if there's a couple offers that week, like the thing that I'm choosing, I got to narrow it down to one, because that's what I know that my pie will allow. If I take two sets in a week, like,
tough.
Unless it's like Barack Obama, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like it's got to be a no, because I need to survive. It's a long haul thing, you know what I mean? I like, and the dividends, the costs that I would pay to go outside beyond that, I have to consider in the whole thing.
Right.
It's knowing the job and the importance of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably lead you in that direction.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I have a question. As the leader of, you're leading a band. I mean, we started out talking about you coming from, North Carolina, and being able to multi-instrumentalist, and do you feel as if your life experience is in playing everything well on a high level allows you to kind of communicate with everybody in the band? Because I mean, your gig, you have to know like a lot of different kinds of music and be able to articulate that to different people on the bandstand who might not have the worldview that the leader needs for a talk show band. Because I'm imagining you guys got to cover so many different kinds of stuff depending on the artists that come in. That that really takes versatility and a certain openness as a leader. No,
I mean, I'm gonna
ahead.
let you answer, but I'm gonna
Jump in
speak
here.
to this just having worked alongside, but also now like within the band of Cato for like 3 years now that you've been kind of leader. The ability for you to, like, whether it's like a cover that we're doing in the style that you're arranging, or like we gotta hit this Brazilian vibe, or literally like we have to do this like corny marching band stinger, but it has to be specific. And talking about life experience, the ability for this cat to create a demo by himself that is like covering all the parts that everybody can listen to and be like, all right, this is that, humming the trumpet part, it's super clear, here's the bass line, here's the drum thing. That in and of itself is incredible, because we all come into a rehearsal and we've been listening to like a high fidelity demo of whatever the thing is that he has created literally by himself, which is like amazing, and not a lot of people can do that. But then I will say second, and then I will let you speak to it because obviously it's your experience. Like watching Cato in real time learn how to communicate with 6 different personalities in a leader format has been really inspiring. Because it's,
wow.
when you're like in the
Oh,
band,
You're in the band.
you're in the band and maybe you communicate something. But when you're leading, you got to understand people's personalities, people's sounds. Maybe somebody is going to take a certain sort of note differently than this is. And watching Cato, like, just rehearsal after rehearsal, come in and kind of figure that out, learn how to communicate based on, your experience, but also like the experience day after day in real time. It's been amazing. And it's
man.
if anything, and again, I'm gonna let you speak on it, but like just anybody out there who's coming into some sort of leadership role in music, at your job, at your work, like being confident in your skill set and your experience while also realizing that like there's a lot you don't know. Kind of like that confidence, humility blend.
Oof, yes.
And watching you kind of figure out that tightrope. It's been amazing to watch, and it has been like, it's been really cool to kind of watch you grow as a leader from somebody who's in the band.
That's really encouraging to hear, my friend.
Because it's hard, bro. It's hard,
Yeah, I would say that I'm very much still learning. I think to your point, my experience across genres and instruments does inform my identity and therefore my capacity to communicate. But also, in so much, it is, our band is unique also. This is like, this is a band of 6 artists that are all band leaders in their own rights. And so there's like kind of goes back to what we were talking about with present moment awareness in the studio. In my experience, as I define the role to facilitate us being at our best in our role in the show. And the best version of what we are as a unique collective is unique and yet to be determined. And one of my personal mantras is sort of like just because what I tell myself, like just because you feel don't mean you know. You know what I mean? It's like and as it translates this scenario, just because you know shit doesn't mean you know shit. You know what I mean? There's what I mean by that is that my experience can inform the groundwork, but it doesn't necessarily speak to the end result that we're all trying to achieve. And so my approach to that end is a balance of learning how to stay plugged into my own confidence of where I'm coming from and the way that I'm hearing things, and balancing that with, as Quincy Jones would say, leave space for God in the room. But in this instance, God is in the form of Jon Lampley's genius and India Owens' genius and Nega Santos' genius, and with their own different, vastly broad life experiences that they're bringing to the bandstand. Like I want to have the confidence and alignment within myself to present a groundwork that sets us up to succeed. Just as important as the groundwork is like the headpiece. You know what I mean? And the intangibles of it all, like completely, it's not, I don't think it's possible to be known. I think you have to leave space for that. And to your earlier point, dude, it is learning to listen and not listen and not listen completely passively, but listen actively. You know what I mean? And it's uncomfortable. It is like a bit of ping ponging, but it feels absolutely worthy. You know, and night after night, I mean, everyone you guys hear, like, it's a one of one band. There's no way that you can't really even put it in a box. I think that is the recipe for how we are able to keep outdoing ourselves and finding new spaces and expanding within this very otherwise limited framework of a late night television show.
You know, because when I think about it, the more that you speak, that band from all the other bands, I mean, I remember, I am old enough to remember, am I really aging myself? When Bradford Marcellus took over the Tonight Show band.
Yeah.
And, you know, usually when you got a guy like Bradford who's out in front and used to doing his thing, you can just tell a lot of people in that band just had difficulty just adjusting. I mean, but we think about it, was with Kenny Kirkland.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
It was playing, you know, Jeff Watts and a lot of them cats left because that just wasn't their thing.
Yeah.
And so that band had a very particular sound to it.
Yes.
Even like if you move to other bands, if whatever, the old Tonight Show band or Max Weinberg, those bands have a very particular kind of sound.
Yes.
The thing about the band, what you guys, it sounds like you guys can adjust the sound for like just different occasions, and it sounds different, and it sounds versatile. It doesn't sound like, you know, X band playing this only in their style. It sounds like, man, you know what? They have enough musicianship in the band to actually get it to sound like that instead of just sounding like that. Which I think is a very, it's an achievement by itself. We captured the essence, and we still have our vibe. Yeah. But we captured this vibe as well. Right? Yeah. And it makes you feel like the band is adapted. And it's the versatility. I think that's really a testament as you having, you know, just being able just to kind of like, I understand what everybody here does. Play a little trombone, you know, play some bass, I can really. But I think as a person, you got to relate to 6 other people, man, and kind of get them in line, because you know, sometimes some days are better than others.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone's working, everyone's tired. Right. That's like out the gate. So you're yourself included. You know what I mean? So like we're all sort of navigating tight spaces in that regard.
Yeah, but that's part of leadership. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like these things only go as far as the person who's like, who we have to report to, and do we really dig you as a person? Right. You know, I mean, I think at the beginning, do I respect you? Totally. Because I mean, we've been in some situations where you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. 100%. If you're not taking it seriously.
Exactly.
I'm not.
Oh, better yet, do you know what you're doing, and how did you get this gig in the first place?
and again, to you know,
and that comes some part of that. How the f you get this gig?
Right, exactly.
Because you know, come on, Ron, come 100%.
On,
man. You know, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, to speak to what you were saying at the beginning, to kind of like put this, to wrap the kind of like the late show situation where it's like, you speak to the level of exhaustion, and it's like you go from being the person who is being led and feeling however you feel about it to all of a sudden being the person that everybody is like feeling this way about. And it's like, you know, some days it's great and it pops and it's awesome. And some days it's like, well, that day was not one of them days. But I think that, and this is a testament again to you and to the experience and the way that you kind of bring out the best in all of us in that band, is like, even on a day where we're all like, anybody turns on the TV, and I'm sure you've gotten texts on days that are like, whatever, and you're like, man, the band sounds really great. Yeah. And it's translating, and it's like, you know, what is the measure of what... The measure of how you're doing is not necessarily your best day. Yes. But it's like the days where it's really tough, you know what I mean? And I think that the way that the band kind of has operated and is sounding and is able to tap into these different styles underneath the way that you've been leading it has been really, really awesome. And no, man, I mean that. I want to kind of shift as we take it out, because there is Louis Cato, leader of the Late Show Band, but then there is Louis Cato, artist who has put out 3 records, the Cato Covers record, infamous on the internet, infamous in the world of everything, but also 2 beautiful records of original music that sound and feel completely different than, you know, who we see leading at the Late Show Band or who we see sitting in with Scary Pockets. And like, it's you, but that side of your artistry is really, really beautiful. And most recently, this song Black Man Blues that has come out, I think is amazing because it is kind of a tribute to the original format of the blues.
Yes.
Like the Delta thing. You're tapping
Yes.
into that Robert Johnson with the guitar itself and also the melody of the song. But also it is a testament to kind of you as a person and being very vulnerable with the lyrics, like figuring some stuff out.
Yeah.
And developing.
Seen but not, seen but not heard.
Exactly.
Yeah, be seen, not
Yeah,
heard.
that's the first.
Exactly.
That was the first thing I heard. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
To survive in this world, hold your tongue, be seen and not heard.
Right. And man, that's it. That when I played that, it resonated with me.
Wow.
And I'm saying, he hit the nail on the head. The lyrically, everything fits perfectly, and the story's well told. And to what you said, man, the form, and I'm sure this just fell in place from you. The different forms of the blues. I mean, you can have a 6-bar blues.
Yeah.
You can have whatever.
Yeah.
But the form that you chose with those 8-bar phrases or whatever. Oh man, I'm like, this was the right vehicle for what you were doing. And it captured, once again, it really captured the vibe of what you were going for. And that really resonated with me. The whole message of the song, man, just the guitar, the way that the vocal delivery, it's you definitely captured the essence.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So as we roll out of here, talk to us about the songs that you're singing with the voice that you are learning to use.
Oh,
That's what I want to hear about.
Oh, well, that's actually like a 2-part thing. The whole thing is really about that song, Black Man Blues. It is an expression of my journey growing up as a black boy in the South in the church and coming into my own as a black man in the city, in the world.
Yeah.
And sort of being at this place in my life right now where, with the help of, the experience of like learning from 2 incredible daughters, and a lot of therapy, an incredible vocal coach, Eric Arsenault, and finding that like a through line through all these things, a lot of my lesson is undoing a lot of the neurotic holding patterns that I formed along the way really early, and they can't. So it's speaking to like the pros and the cons of these parts of my journey, like the black community as a whole, the way the kids are disciplined, the way I was disciplined, the way the entity of like the church, and how this sort of idea that the same things that are in place and that protect you and keep you safe and give you a moral compass also have a cost, come at a cost to your emotional development, and like the be seen and not heard is like that's like a theme, just like I think, I don't know if you guys experience at the at the family reunions or the cookouts or in Sunday morning service, but like like you gotta look nice, but like you don't speak even when grown folks are talking. You know what I mean? It's like a whole. That's a part of it, and you know, my intention was like to express the nuance of it.
Right.
Right. It's not a good or a bad thing, but it is something that if you're me at this point in my life am reckoning with and having to expand awareness around so that I can show up as the person that I need to be for myself and for my kids, and for my community.
Right.
You know, like the music never lies. It's got to be honest, and so it's a ball of yarn that I'm slowly undoing. The first refrain says, "You've got a powerhouse of a voice that's yet to be used," and it's like step one into realizing that in a lot of ways I've never actually used my full voice.
Yeah.
Like because of like these hamperings that like came at the, you know, like I learned to stay alive by not ask no questions when I get pulled over.
Right.
You know, like it's like this is for your safety, like literally.
Right.
You know, like you are risking your life if you speak, and so I find that manifests like in my literally in my throat and my speaking voice, my singing voice, and thankfully with the help of all the support and like my kids like pointing things out to me when I'm hiding and my vocal coach pointing out when I'm filtering, like I'm learning that like I don't when in a moment where I'm able to like let go of all of that, there are sounds that come out that I literally have never heard or felt before in my life. And a whole time, like, I thought I've been singing my whole life, you know, but like, I didn't know what it felt like to actually use the fullness of my voice. I didn't know what it sounded like. And it feels powerful. It feels resonant to me. It feels honest. It feels like everything I know about music. It feels completely aligned with the entity of honest expression, and yet is brand new.
I can tell you that both of us in the world hopes and prays that you continue to push that voice, that thing that is brand new. Just keep creating in that lane because it's powerful, it's incredible, both the sound of it, but also what you were speaking to. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thanks,
Yeah,
man. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, man.
All my life I've been told who I am, which way to go. Ask no questions, learn your lessons, trust and obey.
To survive in this world, hold your tongue, be seen, not heard. Best remember who done sent you. Mind your tone.
Mind your tone.
Black man blue. You got a powerhouse of a voice that's yet to be you.
Not so long ago, folks like me, born in the soul, ask no questions, third or less than half of a man. Oh, black man blues, you got a song to sing, ain't no one sang it but you. Oh, black man blues. Yes, I'm learning to use. Yeah. Come on, man. That's how Mama Janie used to sing it. Oh, Black Man Blues. Yeah, I'm taking back what was always in me to do.
I know that's right.